Hey guys, it's Pastor Bruce. Do you remember Acts 15? This is where the leaders of the early church gathered together for the Jerusalem Council. They were discussing what they were going to do with the great influx of Gentile believers into the church. Paul is talking about this in Galatians chapter 2, and he describes it as a private discussion among the leaders. Sometimes it's best to iron things out among the more mature in the church. It's not always the best thing to have your newest believers sitting there listening to the inner workings of the church. So don't be distrustful. If some things are done behind closed door, it may be for your best interest. Paul seems in this chapter to be unhappy with James and Peter and John, but it may be he's trying to downplay their influence in Galatia because the Judaizers keep referring to them to give them credibility. As Paul describes the council, he says everybody was in agreement. But then Peter came up to Antioch, and he was okay eating with the Gentiles. He was the one who had first brought the gospel to the Gentiles through Cornelius and his family. But when the legalists came to town, they guilted Peter into only spending time with the Jewish believers. But Paul had to call him on that. This was hypocrisy. And Peter was playing their game, only it wasn't a game. It was deadly serious. These Judaizers were teaching, both in Antioch and in Galatia, that we're justified by our works. Justification is a legal term. It's where God considers someone to be righteous. He forgives them, pardons them for their sin. But justification is only available through faith in Jesus Christ, not by keeping the law. Verses 17 through 19 deal with this, and it's kind of difficult, but essentially what Paul is saying here is that living outside the letter of the law doesn't make us sinners because faith is in Jesus, and that's what pleases God, not trying to keep all the law. Verse 20 is key. I've been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. We who are believers in Jesus Christ have our lives in him. He lives through us. And because of that, when we're surrendered to him and we're living in the sweet spot of his love and his direction in our lives, the law never becomes an issue because we'll never even get close to it. God bless you as you go.